What do you disagree with Rollo on?
So we agree on a lot. What we disagree on is the biggest thing that I think is most problematic is marriage, that you can't endorse marriage.
Not now.
And I think that if we look at what is the optimal environment to bring children into this environment, into this world, if my buddy Sauce wanted to have kids, do you want kids?
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully we could agree that the optimal environment is to be in a nuclear family where the man and the woman are in the household together.
Socially enforced monogamy has been the bedrock of Western society 100%. For a long time.
So we agree on that. However, the red pill speaks very low of marriage. You guys have a very, in my opinion, a very skewed view of marriage based on 66% of marriages are filed by women, on and so forth.
70, but half of marriages end in divorce right now, at least in Western, statistically speaking, you got a 50-50 chance of having a quote-unquote successful marriage, whatever that is defined as. And then, of course, it's 70 to 80% of
okay,
marriages.
Your book
depends on whose numbers you... I was trying to be as conservative as I could be.
Your book was 60 to 70.
That's why I was trying to be conservative with that.
So if the optimal environment is for kids, Sauce wants kids, is to be married in the same household.
With a husband and a wife.
With a husband and a wife.
A man and a woman, however you define it.
Husband and a wife is fine. The painting of marriage is not helpful, in my opinion, based on what we know about marriage. So marriage is 40 to 50% end in divorce. What's left out is kind of this character of divorce. You do 90% of the work. She puts in 10%, and then she could file divorce at any time, and then you have to split all the proceeds. There's a lot you leave out there, Rollo. A whole lot. For starters, divorce highly correlated with income. The less you make, the more likely you are to get divorced. This is a fact. I got sources.
And it's commonly known that like one of the top two issues in divorce is
money.
Or breakups is money.
It's money.
It's money. And Dave Ramsey would say that number one reason people get a divorce is money fights money problems. Okay, so one, we know that the more people make, the least likely they are to get divorced. That's a fact. With the regards about 250K, you flatten out, I think, at about a 25% rate. So one, that's omitted from the fact. And then the response goes, well, alimony. Okay, if the average man, median income for the average man, take away the bottom and the top outliers, is about $60,000 a year. Okay, average is about $40,000 when you got the outliers. Okay, people aren't paying alimony on those types of salaries. So the average person is most optimally to thrive. And I can give you all the statistics about how being single, you're highly to be suicidal, depression, all these unhealthy, lazy, all these different things. The optimal environment for a man is to be in a marriage. Okay. So
for kids, you mean?
For kids.
For his mental health. And again, and I got the studies. We could look at the studies if you want to look at the studies. Suicide rate, depression, unhealth, all kinds of different things. It's awful if you're a man in your 40s. So the red pill is framing marriage as this caricature that maybe on the contractual side, there are outliers where women take advantage of men. But the average case is that if you know how to make money, if you understand some of the game side of things, I would say there's some utility. And I think what you guys do a good job is you stir people away from some type of women that are, in my opinion, selection biased. Sauce, you got married before, right?
Briefly, yes.
Yeah. And what did you do to protect yourself in that marriage?
Oh, well, I had a prenup.
He had a prenup, right? Dave Ramsey recommends prenups for anybody that's independently wealthy before they go into a marriage.
I
Dave
had
Ramsey
money,
is a
she
financial
didn't. Correct.
You got a prenup, and I protected you.
Yes.
Correct? I got buddies that have covenantal marriages per your book. Got a couple buddies. They got married. They kept the state out of it. They protected themselves, right? And so on and so forth. So I think primarily this caricature of marriage, man, is I think very toxic. On top of which you go on to glorify how being a virgin is ideal in a marriage, which is
for the woman,
for both people.
For the man too.
For the man, we could correlate body counts.
You could.
Hold on. What?
You
We could start the show,
we could correlate body counts.
That's where I'm gonna start weighing here, gentlemen.
We could correlate body counts to less happiness in a sex life. The higher, more partners you have, the less likely you are to be happy in a marriage sexually. That's proven. I think
if you don't know what you're missing, if ignorance is bliss.
100%. So, and on top of it, and this is the part I'm probably most bummed about, and you identify as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, somebody. I'm bummed, Rollo, that you left out all the statistics about how unlikely you are to get divorced if you are a person of faith who practices their faith. Now, I know you're going to say that's the no true Scotsman argument. It's not. If you believe in earning wealth, you're going to do certain things to practice earning wealth. If you believe the Lakers are the best basketball team, you're going to wear a jersey and go to a game occasionally. If you profess to be a Catholic or a Christian, you do things that show that, and that you go to church, you pray, you do certain things. So when we factor all of these different variables together, when we factor in, hey, if you make more than the average person, hey, if you have a great sex life, if you maybe have a prenup, if you have independent wealth, if you're a person of faith, the divorce rate plummets way, way, way off the ground, lower body count. And that's the part, Rollo, that I'm like, man, this is such a caricature of marriage that I was really bummed out that you as a Christian didn't put any of this in there with the caveat. And I appreciated you putting the virgin thing in there because I thought that was fair of you. And that's the part where I go, man, if the optimal environment for our buddy Sauce is to one day get married, to have kids, why would we not tell him that? Why would we keep this information from him? Why would we omit this?
Is that your goal? Is that your goal to do that? That's first and foremost, is like, what do you want as a man right now? Because right now we're in the 21st century. We're 21 years into, 21 and a half years into the 21st century, okay? We're still clinging to old order ideals. We're still clinging to a 20th century, actually probably like an 18th century ideal when it comes to monogamy. We are not looking at it from a post-sexual revolution. And I'm saying for better or worse. I'm not saying this is, okay, I don't deal in shoulds, I deal in is. Okay?
But you do, though, because you prescribe very specific things in your book, The Rational Male. We can get into that later.
I understand
that. But you do prescribe things, Rollo.
I make a point to be as objective. I know it's impossible to be entirely objective.
Right. You believe in objective truth.
I have an obligation to it.
But you prescribe certain things.
I don't prescribe anything. I don't.
Okay, we can come back to that.
So let me explain something.
Let him get this out.
Let me explain a couple things here.
Dialogue.
I'm not in the business of making men better men. I'm in the business of giving men the tools that they need to make better choices, to become better men themselves. I'm not trying to be a cult leader. I'm not trying to be any kind of. I'm not. I told this to Jedediah yesterday. Is like I bristle at the idea of being an influencer, because to me it's like, who are you influencing and what gives you the authority to be that quote unquote influencer as it is right now?
But let me just understand what you just said right there, and then I'll let you continue. It's almost like cause and effect. You said, I'm not here to help men be better. I'm here to give them the education to be better. Well, it's the same thing, isn't
tomato, Rollo. You were prescribing certain activities.
There's a big difference.
So
I'll explain to you why. Okay, I do not have a step-by-step program that says follow this template and you will have a great fucking life. I have nothing like that.
Neither do I. Neither does Sauce.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you do. I'm saying that that's my approach when I write any book, when I do any show, when I write any essay. It's not about here's what you should do. Here's what is happening. What are you going to do with this information? Okay, it's like fire. Okay. You can use fire to heat your home and cook your food, or you can use fire to burn your neighbor's house down, and you can go and set your neighbors on fire as well.
We're not endorsing that, by the way.
Okay, please don't. But what I'm saying is that like it's not the actual red pill that is the problem. It is how is that being used. So when people like come at me and they say the red pill is about this, and I'll say no, that's black pill doomers. That's the MGTOW side of this thing. That's the MRA side of this thing. When we started this whole the whole podcast here, it's like, well, what's your philosophy? This is your philosophy. That's your philosophy. There is no philosophy of the red pill. The red pill is a praxeology. I need to set that out right now.
I know you said praxeology,
and people are going to come at me because they think it's strictly related to like economics and stuff like that. But praxeology is basically the study of behavior with the intent of showing that behavior is something that it has a purpose or a latent function to it, kind of thing. So people behave in such a way as this is how it works, kind of thing. So when I am talking about marriage, and you're not the first person to throw this at me, is that they say, well, Rollo, how can you be red pill because you're married, or how can you be married because you're red pill, right? And so I'm always stuck in the middle of all of that, because I have a great, by all estimates, I have a fantastic ideal marriage. For most guys would say it's an ideal marriage for 26 years. I have a kid, right? So when especially from the traditional conservative side of things, they come at me and say, well, how can you be so down on marriage? I'm not down on marriage. In fact, I make that point in religion. I said, I'm not down on marriage. I'm down on how we do it now. Okay. As I said before, monogamy, pair bonded monogamy, however you want to define it. Like, remember, it's Judeo-Christianity doesn't have a monopoly on marriage. Okay, marriage has been a thing between men and women for a very, very long time. Whether it's in Muslim culture, or it's in Jewish culture, or it's in like even Asian culture, you can go back to feudal Japan and find people getting married. Okay, so they had nothing to do with Abrahamic religions, but they're still pairing off like that. So there's something innate in us that says, hey, we're better together than we are apart. Okay, where it is functionally, evolutionarily advantageous for human males and human females to compromise their mating strategies, come together, and be parentally invested in that quote unquote family unit, which of course becomes the first tribe that you have. And we can talk about tribalism later on. So I'm not against marriage. I'm against the way we do it now in a post-sexual revolution.
Explain that, because
but that's a sociological phenomenon. Like that's social culture that's dysfunctional.
Yeah,
right.
That's
so
why
I don't follow culture, Rollo. I build culture.
Do you have a legal contract between you and your wife?
I do have a legal contract between.
Then that's part of that's part of the culture.
So if you like that clip, click right here to watch another, or if you want to watch the entire Soscast, click right here.